All right, Alex.
What you seeing?
I got 122 flag, 107 front, uphill. I'm excited to share with you.
Hello, friend. My name is Scott Epstein, also known as Scottie the Caddie, and welcome to the Links and Lifestyle Podcast. I'm grateful to be here and thankful that you're taking the time to listen. I recently got to enjoy one of my favorite nights of the year, my Fantasy Football League's Champions Dinner. So Bubble Ball started back in 2002. I was the very first champion. Back when we still did a snake draft and did not have points for receptions. The world of fantasy football has really changed. We have a Champions Dinner, just like the Masters does, every April before the event. Most of the guys grew up together and have known each other since our youth. Only past champions are allowed to attend. Over the years, it started very small with the first three champions. We ate at Houston's in New York City, which has the best spinach dip around. Now nearly, not all, but nearly every franchise has won at least one title. Dinners have been in central New Jersey, the middle of New York City, all over the place. As we've gotten older, the night has gotten a lot tamer. This year's past champ is in Florida full time, but is in New Jersey in late June to bring his kids up for camp to stay with his parents. So dinners in New Jersey here at a high-end Chinese restaurant whose food is outstanding and is one of my favorite meals of the year, and it did not disappoint. I took some great lessons from the evening and wanted to share and discuss. So let's jump in. For the first 10 plus years of the league, we drafted at my parents' house in Marlborough. The day consisted of the draft, poker, swimming, food, grilling. It was a day that everyone looked forward to. We were very early adopters to an auction draft as opposed to a snake, in which every team has an allotted amount of money and you can spend it however you want. I actually quit the league. Back around 2012, fantasy football was not healthy for me, and it wasn't healthy for my marriage. It was creating a lot of stress on Sundays. I wasn't happy about it. I wasn't present. I wasn't enjoying the kids. And as a result, I decided not to do the league anymore. I got a lot of crap for it from my friends, but I knew it was the right decision for me. I also, as I've mentioned before, got sober in 2014. And, one of the things you do in sobriety is change, people, places, and things. And I definitely withdrew from this group of guys. These are guys that were, in my wedding. I was in their weddings, definitely got after it, shared a lot of great times together. And I realize now that maybe I was embarrassed a little bit at the time. I frankly didn't know how to deal with it or thought that they would understand. And I also wasn't that comfortable in who I was at that time as well. A few years later, I started partnering up with one of the guys, Sean, who had never won a title. I'm his caddy, both in fantasy football and in life. He's won 3 titles, and we came within a whisker of winning a 4th title this past January. And I absolutely love our relationship. At dinner, I was present to some stuff I may have missed in the past. First and foremost, we're all very lucky to be alive. I don't know if I mentioned this, but at Melissa's high school reunion, which she planned, she created a memorial table in which I think there were like 8 kids from her graduating class that were no longer with us. From Marlborough, similar experience. In fact, a kid I went to high school with, I got word on social media that he passed away about a week ago. Just very, very sad. Amongst our group of friends, we're all alive, we're all in pretty good shape, and we have a very cool tradition having dinner. Not all champions attend for a number of reasons. Like anything else, showing up and making it work is a choice. A couple guys were on vacation. The following day in the Northeast is a big day in which kids start their sleepaway camp journeys up to northern New York or Vermont or New Hampshire, wherever they're going. But like anything else, it's a choice. It's a choice whether guys want to come or not. Before dinner, my scale after an 18-hole walk and just eating fruit and bar and water broke 180. It said 179.5, which I sent a picture of to some loved ones, which was really, really cool. That was a great moment, and I have the podcast in part to thank for that. Thereafter, I had an amazing Chinese food meal with consuming 2,500 plus calories, which was outstanding. I learned one of the guys is getting divorced. He's very far into the proceedings, and it has not been smooth. And that hit hard. We were at each other's weddings. He's not the first guy I know from Marlborough or who I know in general that's going through it. You know, divorce is roughly half the couples out there do decide to go that route. They have 3 children, and you know, net it stinks. It's not easy. I tried to share my experience and what Melissa and I have fought through, but my sense was it's simply too late. Major bummer. They've been on my prayer list since I learned of that. One of the other guys I'm pretty close with that was there, the one whose bachelor party's in December and wedding is in April, which I've discussed, and his father, who I knew pretty well, passed away in May. He and his wife got us a wine opener for our engagement that is pictured below, and it's a gift we've gotten 20 plus years out of. And anytime we use it or open it, I often think of them and think of them fondly. And anytime anyone asks about the actual opener, it's a pretty cool story that we get to share. Anyway, he was there. He gave up drinking as well. And the kind of conversations that we've had offline are a lot different than what they used to be, certainly in my drinking days. And now we both have that technology of not drinking, be able to share about that, which is pretty cool. For me, the chats and conversations with these guys have gotten a lot more real and a lot more meaningful and not so much surface level over the years, which I really enjoy. I get a lot of juice from having those types of conversations. And as a result, the evening was really impactful and fun for me. The guys that drank still drink, but everyone drove there. So the raging and getting after it was definitely at a minimum. And we got to talk a lot about golf. The guys know that Scottie the Caddie is, what I do, and have shared and enjoyed the content pieces and vibe that we're putting out there. A couple of the guys have kids that are now getting into golf and getting serious about it. A few of the fantasy champs play a lot of golf, and so they ask me questions, and I got to really enjoy being in my element and talking about my passion and my profession, which was really cool. The guys have a wide range of jobs and income levels, and in a lot of ways wish they could be on the golf course a lot more frequently, and in a lot of ways think it's pretty cool that I get to spend so much time out on the links and doing my thing. One of the guys, quick tangent, we play a lot of backgammon in our house, and I may have mentioned it before that I had sent a backgammon gift to somebody last summer after seeing him over the summer, and he shared that he and his kids have gotten into it a little bit. And whenever I play with Gwen, I always take a picture and like to send it to Josh and encourage him as far as backgammon goes. He shared, he's getting into golf. His son is really getting into it, and he's, looking to join a high-end place up in North Jersey. So we got to talk about that. And again, just, golf is cool right now. Not that it wasn't before. And, my experience as fathers and sons especially, it's really an opportunity for parent and child to enjoy doing something together outside, away from the chaos of the world, and just enjoy that one-on-one time. And one of the other owners has an amazing story that I'm hoping to record a podcast with this summer. More to come about him and his journey. Lastly around that, one of the franchises, one of the long-time original sixes, has not won a bubble ball title yet. In fact, Seth, or his nickname is Bubbles, that's who we named the league after, is in San Francisco, and we had a great chat on the way to dinner, just talking about it, talking about life. And his partner, Goose, whose house I'm literally recording at right now, was invited to the dinner, but didn't come. He's not a champion, and he had enough integrity and respect for the institution of the Bubble Ball Champions fraternity that did not come to dinner, which was cool. Maybe next year, guys. That's a wrap for the dinner. It's one of my favorite networks of guys and nights out for the year. Peking Pavilion in Manalapan never disappoints. And I may be at that bar once over the course of the summer alone, having their Grand Marnier shrimp and white rice. The other thing I just wanted to touch on quickly, my brother-in-law, Billy, recently had a heart attack. By the grace of God, he's going to be okay. It was a blockage that kind of, sort of passed on its own. But anytime something like that happens, there's lessons inside of it, frankly, for me and for all of us that we can take away from it. Life is short, so live it. Whatever that looks like for you, make that phone call, do that thing that's fun, take that trip. None of us are promised tomorrow. Habits and choices. He is a smoker, and he needs to stop doing that. I pray that he will. I'm grateful that I've cleaned up some of my habits and my discipline, and like anything else, nothing is easy. And lastly, just work-life balance. He's a very successful sales manager at a car dealership, and so he works 12 to 14-hour days sometimes, and it's stressful, and it's important for all of us to have some work-life balance, right? That doesn't mean don't work. That doesn't mean have too much fun and not do enough work, but certainly try to strike and find that balance. If you're enjoying the podcast, please like, comment, subscribe, and share on the platform that you're watching or listening. Big finish. Win for the week, challenge Bible verse. Win for the week. I mentioned the scale dipping below 180, culmination of lots of hard work and solid choices. We're just slightly over that now, but pushing through. And I had a really cool day off. I was off on Monday, and I got to visit my cousin, my first cousin, her daughter, and my aunt up in New Paltz, New York. Did some hiking, did some swimming, went out for lunch, and the hiking and the swimming, honestly, was a lot easier than it's been in the past. I got to jump off a cliff, take a look at that picture, and it's all a result of the eating, the losing weight. Like it all felt better, which was nice. Challenge. It is hot up here in New Jersey right now. July 4th week, the temperature is in the hundreds. I've got a couple doubles planned, takes a ton out of me, but I manage my calendar. Like this particular week is just work, swimming pool. My in-laws opened the pool, which I'm really excited about, food, and getting rest, right? Just keeping it simple, enjoying the World Cup, and just taking it easy and respecting the heat. Bible verse. I chose something based on friends and the conversation we're having from Proverbs 17, verse 17, which says, "A friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for adversity." This verse is one of the most enduring in the Bible, capturing the essence of unwavering, loyal friendship. So what it means is a true friend's love is constant, not just in joyous moments, but especially in times of hardship. Loyalty through all seasons. A friend who loves at all times stands by you in both prosperity and adversity, and offering encouragement, comfort, and practical help. If you're that type of friend for other people, great. If you have friends that are like that, super. If you don't, take a look at it. And if you have relationships where you're not getting what you want or need, ask for it. I'm really good at asking people for things. Mutual growth. True friends challenge, guide, and celebrate with you, reflecting and shaping the best version of yourself. I have some very close friends that really hits home with. Like I mentioned, cultivate deep connections. We've talked about that on this podcast. Seek those out. If you don't have them, my recommendation is to work on them, because there's nothing better, at least for me in my life, than those deep connections. Be present in adversity. Show up for others when they're struggling, just as you would want someone to show up for you. That's a big thing, especially in AA and recovery, is being there for people, especially when they're struggling. And rejoice and weep together. True friendship includes both celebration and shared sorrow. I've been there for my friends' highs and also their lows. And, for me, I've said it before, it's important for me to not hide out when I've got things that are going on that are challenging me, right? I got to lean into people. Just like in the gambling world, right? People love to share about their wins, but don't talk about their losses. So, it's important to lean in when things are challenging just as much as they are when things are going well. This verse reminds us that strong, long-standing friendships are a divine gift. So take advantage of them. They're worth nurturing, valuing, and emulating in our own lives. Thank you. God bless. We'll see you next week.